We're talking about Santa Claus coming to town. Let's go. Okay, now, who was this character called Santa Claus? Now, we here in what we know of as North America, they show us a heavyset Albon guy with a gray beard. I got some things that I want to read about what really happened, and then I'm going to show you some things that we have not seen. Santa Claus, born to wealthy parents in Patara, Turkey. Now, do your research on who Santa Claus was. His name was Nicholas. So when you do your research, you might find it said that he was born in Greece, all right? In some documents it says Patara, Turkey, when the population of Anatolia was mostly pagan. Whatever that means, y'all can look it up. It said that he took a special interest in 3 sisters. Now, here's a guy who he was born rich. He was born wealthy, and his parents died when he was young. Now, this wasn't a melanated guy. This wasn't an Albon. This melanated guy. And when his parents died when he was young, his uncle took over him. At a young age, he saw these 3 sisters that they were poor. They were too poor to have dowries, because back then, if you were a woman and you wanted a man, you had to pay in order to marry him. And why is that? See, then I have to go back into history, because this is backing up some of the things that I tell you when I let you know that it was the women who owned all of the wealth. And males were rare. It wasn't no one male to male, one male to one female. It wasn't that ratio. And so if she wanted him, first of all, she's the one that had all the money. Second of all, he was rare. So when something is rare, what happens? It goes up in value. It's like, oh, if you want this, you got to pay for these nuts. Pun intended. But if you want to, wanted to get with a male, and you were a woman, back then you had to pay. And if you were too poor, then you would have to go into prostitution. And so at this point, they were so poor, they were being forced into prostitution when this Saint Nicholas, he put some money down their chimney. So he threw money, it says, down their chimneys, enough to bait and attract a husband. Because remember, back then, the husband, he could get whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. He didn't have to, because again, he had a big choice. He had all these choices to choose from, because he was not 1-to-1 to women. It was 1 to 10, maybe. Once again, you've got this whole situation whereby these women had to pay in order to be a bride, because it was the woman who had all the wealth. And at this time, this is when the woman, started to become a slave to the male. That's another story. I'm not getting into that today. But at this time, it was Saint Patrick, or at this time, his name was Nicholas, who put this money in their chimney. And these women now did not have to become prostitutes. Okay. So that was one of the things he's noted for. He was also captured. He was imprisoned at some point. And as I told y'all, look up the Black Anatolians of the ancient Roman Empire. That's the family he came from. He was born to the wealthy ethnic Black Anatolians. Okay. He was one of those ancient dominant Black, it says M-U-U-R-S, of Europe. One of the ancient dominant Black Moors, M-U-U-R-S, of Europe, that you come across in fleeting Western history, this thing says, because of the Gothic Europeans would hide the true Moorish history of Europe. Now, after his release, Nicholas attended the Council of NAA. Anybody remember the Council of NAA? Yeah, that's where the first Bible came from in 325 AD. That was the first Bible. This Saint Nicholas was on the Council of Nicaea that created that Bible in 325 AD, where he worked with other early fathers of the church to establish the standardized Christian doctrine of today. So Nicholas had this desire to become a priest. And he didn't think he was going to be able to become a priest. So he went traveling and he was trying to get on as a priest in different places. Somebody finally, he went to a place and they liked the way his energy, he had that energy of giving. That's what he did. He was just a giver. This is why at a young age, he saw these 3 women. He's like, let me drop some money over in their chimney. But he went on to become a saint of another Catholic or quote unquote Christian organization. And he became the one known as Saint Nick because he became a saint. He was a melanated dude that comes from very rich royal people. This is a man coming from wealthy Patara, Turkey. All right. And this is said to be a group of people who were with the ethnic black Anatolians. Look that up. Anatolians, Anatolians of the ancient Roman Empire. When people say Roman or when people say Greek, the first thing y'all think of now is Albion, when the truth is those people were ancient Roman, melanated, wealthy people. Remember I told y'all all royalty was originally melanated people. All royalty was originally melanated people. Well, they was wealthy. And he came from one of those families. One of the things that he's noted for is throwing these bags of gold or whatever money down the chimney so that these 3 women wouldn't have to go into prostitution because they wanted to marry. They were too poor, so he gave them funds and they didn't have to do that. Now, in his journey, he desired to be a priest in a church. He didn't think, he was young, by the way, very young. He was young when he did this thing, and he was young when he went on to be a priest. In his journey, he didn't think he would be able to do it because when he wanted the church that he wanted to become a priest of, they already had somebody. And he didn't think he was going to be able to fit in. So he ended up being at this church and they ended up making him a priest. Now, he also, as I told you, served on the Council of Nicaea in 325 when the first Bible was created. He was on that council. And remember, they want you to think the Council of Nicaea was Albion's. But I'm sitting here letting you know, and they telling you Santa Claus was melanated. He was, in their words, black. That's what they're telling you. They're saying he came from ancient Roman Empire where these Moors, the ancient dominant black M-U-U-R-S, Moors of Europe. You don't hear about them because that's being kept secret. Remember I told you about the period of Reconstruction. Well, that Reconstruction happened several times. However, what happened is, he was a part of the Council of Nicaea that they're trying to make you think is Albion. Again, they whitewashed it. When the truth was, Council of Nicaea were melanated. I can at least tell you Santa Claus was on there. Santa Claus was melanated. That's a brother. I just want to make it clear. I want y'all to see something. Putting up the original Black Santa, and if you just do a search on the original Black Santa, you're going to find this image. And, there's this Santa, he's holding up some kind of text, and it's written in, I don't know if that's Greek or whatever it is. It's Greek to me. All right. Or I don't know what language that is. But this was the original Santa, melanated guy. Okay. So now we're understanding that. If you have any questions, let me know. But I want to continue on as I go into how this man has evolved into this Albion with white hair. Now, when you go back into some of the ancient, now I want to go to the Dutch because I want to talk about how they celebrate this holiday with Santa Claus. With the Dutch, what they have a tendency to do is they'll do this blackface thing. And melanated people see this and they get mad. They be like, what? They trying to make fun of us? They trying to say... Pay attention, please, before you start knee-jerking on what these people are doing. When they're celebrating this holiday, you see them in blackface and they have these little hats on. They look like Kango hats almost. Y'all know those little hats that look tilt to the side, and Rerun used to be doing, he'd be doing all his thing. Those hats. So they're in blackface, and people think, oh, they making fun of us. But what you're not recognizing is they're trying to hold on to the history and let you know those elves, they were melanated. Or even Santa was melanated. They're trying to hold on to the history. Y'all all upset and mad at them when it's like, no, we ain't black. We don't have melanin, so we can't represent. So we got to paint our face to look like the original characters. Pay attention to what I'm saying, because I'm going to show you some of the ancient images that you're going to find. So when you go back to these ancient images, what you're seeing is there's this elf. Now they called that elf Pete. I don't know if Pete had a bad reputation, but what they're trying to preserve is the elf, which is Pete. And you'll see this in a lot of images where there's this quote unquote black elf that's right next to Saint Nicholas. So what they've done is degraded Saint Nicholas to an assistant to Saint Nicholas, but they changed him to an Albon guy. But then they still got Pete over here. Pete is dark skinned. And these Albons, they just trying to preserve what they know in history is that these guys were melanated. So now with these people here in the Dutch people, Santa Claus was a skinny guy. How did he get fat? Well, he came over to America and started eating McDonald's and Taco Bell and Wendy's and Burger King. That's how he got fat. But anyway, I need y'all to know the original Santa Claus was melanated.